You've probably noticed something odd about the way people treat you. You keep to yourself, focus on your own goals, and don't bother anyone. But somehow, that's a problem. It's not because you're doing something wrong. In fact, it's the opposite. You're doing something they can't. Living life on your own terms. As a Sigma male, you're built differently. You don't feel the need to follow trends, seek approval, or get involved in unnecessary drama. And that independence, it unnerves people. They hate what they don't understand. When you mind your own business, they feel ignored, insignificant, even threatened, because your calm exposes their chaos. But here's the truth. Their hate is proof of your strength. You've chosen a path few have the courage to walk. You're not distracted by noise or controlled by opinions. That's power. And power, especially silent power, always attracts attention, good and bad. Let them hate. It's not your job to explain yourself. Stay focused, stay disciplined, and stay you. The world will catch up eventually. For now, watch closely as we dive into why being hated for minding your business is the ultimate Sigma flex. Number 1, you won't be anyone's puppet. People love to feel like they're in control, especially when it comes to others. They expect to be able to pull the right strings. Guilt, flattery, pressure, and watch you fall in line. But you don't play that game. You're not here to dance to anyone else's tune or be a pawn in their plans. And that frustrates the hell out of them. It's not that you're deliberately rebellious or trying to be difficult. You've simply built a life where your decisions are yours and yours alone. You see through the subtle manipulation, the emotional traps, the social expectations, the unspoken rules, and you refuse to engage. You're not here to please people or fit into roles they've created for you. That kind of autonomy is rare, and it terrifies those who thrive on control. What they hate most is that their usual tactics don't work on you. They can't guilt you into compliance, charm you into submission, or pressure you into abandoning your boundaries. Your ability to stay firm, unshaken by their attempts, exposes just how much power they've relied on taking from others. And when they realize they can't take it from you, that's when the resentment sets in. But here's the truth. You weren't made to follow someone else's script. You have your own mission, your own values, and your own rules to live by. Let them call you stubborn or label you as too independent. Their frustration is just proof of your strength. You won't be anyone's puppet because you're not afraid to stand alone. Keep minding your business and holding your ground. Your refusal to be controlled is exactly what sets you apart, and it's what makes you unstoppable. Number 2, you're proof. They're chasing the wrong things. You're a walking contradiction to everything they've been taught to chase. While they're out there competing for likes, climbing status ladders, and obsessing over surface-level achievements, you're calmly focusing on what actually matters to you. And that's the problem. You don't follow their script. Your priorities don't revolve around external validation, and that quietly exposes just how hollow their pursuits really are. People don't like to admit they're chasing things that don't fulfill them. It's easier to stay distracted by the noise than to ask the hard questions. Why am I doing this? Who am I trying to impress? Is this even what I want? But when they see you, unbothered, focused, and clearly not competing in their race, it forces them to confront those questions, whether they're ready or not. And here's the kicker. It's not that you're judging them. You're just living your truth, minding your own business, and chasing goals that genuinely matter to you. But your authenticity acts as a mirror, reflecting their own insecurities. Instead of appreciating the clarity you've found, they resent it because it highlights what they're missing, a sense of purpose beyond appearances. This is why they hate you, not because you're wrong, but because you're proof they might be. You've shown that happiness doesn't come from shallow pursuits, but from staying true to yourself. That's a truth many aren't ready to face. So let them misinterpret your focus as arrogance. Let them call you different because you refuse to play their game. You're not here to compete for crumbs when you're busy building a feast of meaning and purpose. Keep going. Your path may make them uncomfortable, but it's also the one they secretly wish they had the courage to take. At number 3, your detachment feels like arrogance to others. Your detachment throws people off because it doesn't fit their script. Most people are used to others trying to please, impress, or stay in the loop. But when you don't need their approval or their company, they can't help but assume the worst. He thinks he's better than us. But here's the twist. They don't actually hate your independence. Deep down, they envy it. They wish they could be as self-assured, as grounded, and as unbothered as you are. But instead of admitting that, they twist your calm confidence into arrogance, because that's easier to deal with than confronting their own insecurities. Your detachment isn't a statement of superiority, it's a choice. You're not rude, dismissive, or trying to look too cool. You simply value your energy, your time, and your peace too much to waste them on unnecessary drama or shallow interactions. That makes some people uncomfortable because it forces them to look at their own lives and see what they lack: boundaries, focus, and self-worth. What they don't realize is that your detachment isn't a wall, it's a filter. You're not shutting people out, you're just letting the right ones in, the ones who get it, the ones who don't need constant reassurance to feel valued. So let them misjudge you. Let them call you arrogant while you quietly build your life free from their noise. The truth is, their opinions aren't your problem. They're simply a reflection of the chaos they carry and the calm they wish they had. Stay detached, stay focused, and watch as the right people respect you while the wrong ones reveal themselves. Number 4. You're a reminder that peace is possible without them. Your peace is a threat, not because you flaunt it, but because it exists without their involvement. For people who thrive on being needed, who define their worth by how much they're depended on, your independence is a harsh wake-up call. It tells them something they don't want to hear. They're not as important as they think. When you're thriving, minding your business, and focusing on your own goals, it quietly dismantles the illusion that their presence is essential for others to succeed. They've built their identity on the belief that people need them, whether it's for advice, validation, or support. But then you come along doing just fine without their input, and it shakes that foundation. The truth is, they don't hate your success. They hate the reminder that their validation isn't a currency you care about. Your ability to operate peacefully on your own terms makes them question why they've been working so hard to stay relevant in everyone else's lives. That's an uncomfortable realization, and instead of dealing with it, they project their frustration onto you. But here's the thing. You're not trying to prove anything. Your life isn't a performance or a rejection of others. It's just you living authentically. If your independence unsettles someone, that's not your burden to carry. Keep thriving. Keep minding your business. Let them wrestle with their own insecurities while you focus on building the life that works for you. Your peace doesn't depend on them, and that's exactly why it's so powerful. Number 5. They hate that they can't figure you out. You're a puzzle they can't solve, and that drives them mad. People love to put others in boxes. It helps them feel in control. If they can figure out what makes you tick, they think they can predict you, influence you, or even manipulate you. But you're impossible to pin down. Your enigmatic nature keeps them guessing, and that uncertainty makes them uncomfortable. You don't overshare. You don't lay your thoughts out on the table for the world to dissect. Instead, you move quietly, deliberately, and without explanation. To most, this makes you a mystery, and people hate mysteries. They fear what they don't understand because it forces them to confront their own lack of clarity. Your unpredictability is a reminder that not everything can be controlled, and that terrifies them. It's not just confusion, it's insecurity. Your ability to operate in silence, keep your intentions private, and remain unfazed by external noise makes them feel exposed. They realize they can't read you, influence you, or even prepare for your next move. It's a power they don't have, and instead of respecting it, they resent it. But here's the thing. Your mysterious nature isn't a game or a tactic. It's just who you are. You don't owe anyone your inner world, and your silence isn't an invitation for them to pry. Let them struggle to figure you out while you stay focused on what matters. The right people will respect your boundaries and appreciate your depth. The rest? Let them spin their wheels trying to decode a language they'll never understand. Their frustration is proof of your strength. Keep them guessing. Number 6. You don't feed their need for attention. For some, attention is like oxygen. They need it to feel validated, to feel alive, and to feel important. But you don't play into that. You're indifferent to their need for constant praise or approval, and that's a problem for them. Your refusal to feed into their drama, inflate their egos, or shower them with the validation they crave feels like a direct threat to their sense of self-worth. They want eyes on them. They want people to notice their every move. But your detachment shows them something they desperately don't want to face. They're not as essential as they think. You don't need to revolve around them to feel good about yourself. You're not impressed by their antics, their loud opinions, or their attempts to be the star of the show. This lack of reaction from you sends a message they can't ignore. They're not as important as they believe themselves to be. What frustrates them the most is that they can't manipulate you with their attention-seeking behavior. Their inflated sense of importance doesn't faze you, and that's kryptonite to their fragile egos. You've completely removed yourself from the cycle of needing to acknowledge or validate them, and that's exactly what they can't stand. They thrive on being the center of attention, and your indifference is a stark reminder that they don't actually control your perception or your time. Keep staying true to yourself. Your refusal to indulge their need for attention shows them that you can't be manipulated, and it forces them to come to terms with the fact that their drama and ego aren't as powerful as they thought. You've made peace with being unbothered, and that's the kind of power that can't be shaken. Number 7. You refuse to be dragged down. When people are stuck in their own misery, they want others to join them. It's almost like a strange form of validation. If they can drag you into their chaos, it somehow justifies their own negative energy. But you refuse to be dragged down. Your ability to walk away or simply shut them down drives them insane. You don't get caught up in their drama, their complaints, or their unhealthy cycles. And that's exactly why they can't stand you. Your unwillingness to lower yourself to their level shines a spotlight on their toxic tendencies. When you choose to remain above it all, they're forced to look at their own behavior, and that's uncomfortable. You're a reminder that they could rise above their chaos too if they weren't so comfortable swimming in it. But instead of improving, they prefer to pull others down to their level, and you're not having any of it. It's easy for them to blame the world for their struggles, to wallow in self-pity, and to drag everyone around them into that darkness. But you're different. You know that misery only grows when you feed into it, so you choose to stay on your path, unaffected by their turmoil, and that's what really bothers them. Your calm, focused energy exposes how much they've been wasting their time and energy on things that don't matter. Keep walking away from the chaos. Let them stay stuck in their toxicity. Your ability to rise above it is a reflection of your strength, and it makes them face the truth they'd rather ignore. They can't drag you down, and they can't control you. Number 8, you can't be guilt-tripped. Guilt is one of the oldest tricks in the book, used by many as a weapon to manipulate and control others. People try to guilt-trip you into doing things, making you feel responsible for their emotions or decisions, but it doesn't work on you. Why? Because your boundaries are ironclad, and your sense of self is unshakable. You know who you are, and what you stand for, and no amount of emotional pressure can sway you. While others might buckle under the weight of guilt, you remain resolute. You understand that other people's emotions and reactions are their responsibility, not yours. Your ability to separate your own feelings from theirs frustrates those who thrive on making others feel bad for not conforming to their desires. When someone tries to use guilt to manipulate you, they're met with a wall. You don't let their emotional games affect you, and this leaves them powerless. They can't push your buttons because you've learned to stay true to yourself regardless of external pressure. To them, you're an anomaly, someone who doesn't fall prey to their guilt-tripping tactics, and that makes them feel helpless. Your refusal to be guilted is a reminder that manipulation only works on those who don't have firm boundaries or a strong sense of self. And by standing your ground, you show them that they can't control you with their emotional tactics. You've taken away their most effective weapon. Number 9. You don't share their fear of missing out. While everyone else is running in circles, trying to keep up with the latest trends or scrambling to be included in the next big thing, you're completely content in your own lane. You don't care about FOMO, fear of missing out, because you know that your peace, fulfillment, and happiness don't depend on the latest hype or external validation. You've figured out what truly matters to you, and it isn't shaped by what others are doing or chasing. This is a massive threat to those whose identities are tied to being part of the crowd, whose sense of worth is built on likes, followers, or fitting in. You're proof that you can be content without constantly seeking approval, and that terrifies them. Their fear of being left out or excluded fuels their every move. But you've transcended that need. You show them that happiness doesn't require the approval of others, or the constant hustle to stay relevant. You're a walking reminder that true fulfillment comes from within, not from how many people notice you or how many trends you follow. Your refusal to follow the crowd forces them to confront their own insecurity, because if you can be genuinely happy without the external validation they crave, it highlights their own neediness. They're chasing something empty, something you've long outgrown, and that realization makes them resent you. You've shown them a different way of being, and that's both liberating and terrifying to someone who has always defined themselves by what they have and who they're with. Number 10. You're an enigma in a world of open books. In a world where everyone feels the need to overshare, to broadcast their every move for likes and validation, your preference for privacy stands out like a glaring contradiction. While others eagerly post every detail of their lives, seeking attention or approval, you keep your personal world behind closed doors, and that, to them, is nothing short of threatening. They don't understand why you don't crave the same level of exposure. Your silence becomes a puzzle they can't crack, a void they feel compelled to fill with their assumptions and judgments. Your mystery leaves them uneasy because, in a culture obsessed with sharing everything, someone who refuses to be an open book is seen as an anomaly. You're a reflection of what they fear. Someone who doesn't need external validation. Someone who is at peace with themselves without the need for constant attention or approval. Your detachment from the noise of the world exposes the shallowness of their own existence, and that's uncomfortable for them to face. What they hate most is that you don't play by the rules of visibility and transparency. Your reluctance to engage in the race for attention makes them question their own motives. Why do they feel the need to share everything? What are they really looking for? And why can't they understand how you can be so content without putting your life on display for others to see? Your quiet, private nature is a challenge to their constant need for validation. And that challenge? It's something they can't stand. Number 11. You expose their need to be needed. Some people build their entire identity around being needed. They thrive on the feeling of importance that comes from being the one others rely on, the one others turn to for support. For them, it's a source of validation and pride. But your independence shatters that illusion. You don't need anyone to solve your problems or fulfill your needs, and that alone is enough to make them resent you. You move through life without depending on others, refusing to fall into the trap of needing constant support or hand-holding. And for those who crave the feeling of superiority that comes from being indispensable, this is a direct threat. They want to feel like the person you can't live without, the one who can step in and save the day when things go wrong. Your self-sufficiency denies them that role, and they can't stand it. Your refusal to seek help unless absolutely necessary exposes their fragility, their constant need to feel essential. It highlights the fact that, in reality, they are only needed because others have been trained to depend on them. When you don't play along, it makes them question their value. Without that constant demand for their assistance, they feel irrelevant. You remind them that they're not as irreplaceable as they'd like to believe, and that's a truth they desperately don't want to face. So, instead of recognizing the value of true independence, they resent you for making them confront their own insecurity. Your refusal to need them makes them feel small, and that's a feeling they can't stand. Conclusion. The truth is, being a Sigma male isn't for the faint of heart. It takes strength, clarity, and self-awareness to mind your own business in a world that thrives on noise, drama, and conformity. People hate you not because there's something wrong with you, but because you remind them of everything they wish they could be, free, independent, and unapologetically yourself. Your quiet confidence threatens their need for validation. Your independence makes their dependency glaringly obvious. Your peace highlights their chaos, and your focus on what truly matters forces them to confront their own shallow pursuits. They hate what they don't understand, and you're a mystery they can't solve. But here's the thing, their hatred is irrelevant. You don't need their approval, their validation, or their understanding. You've already chosen the path less traveled, the one where your values, goals, and inner peace come first, and that's what makes you unstoppable. Keep minding your own business. Keep setting boundaries, staying focused, and living life on your terms. Let them talk, misunderstand, or even hate. It only proves you're doing something right. A Sigma male doesn't need the world's applause. He walks his path with purpose, knowing that his worth isn't up for debate. That's your power. Use it wisely.